you're setting goals for your life, set them in three categories, and here are the three categories. What goals? Why goals? What? Why? How? Number your what goals. And your what goals describe what you are trying to achieve. What in this category are your career goals and your financial goals. What your career and your personal finances have everything to do with what you are trying to achieve. What, why, how. In the next category are your why goals. And your why goals are the reasons why you are seeking to be successful with your career and successful with your personal finances. Why? And these have to do with your family, your relationships, and your time freedom. Why? Because the reason you start in business, most people go into business for this reason. They want financial freedom and time freedom. For what? Why do you want more time? It is for sharing it with the people you love the most. And so you need goals that have to do with the whys of your life. What? Why? How? And then you need some how goals. These goals have to do with how you're going to achieve your what and why goals, and they have to do with your personal development, your growth, your acquisition of new knowledge and new skills. What? Why? How? You need goals to grow yourself. They are the most important goals you could set for yourself. Learning goals, development goals, because growing yourself is the key to growing your business. Growing yourself is the key to growing your network. Growing yourself is the key to growing everything else around you, because nothing is going to grow around you if nothing about you is growing. Hello? What? Why? How? What? Well, good people, welcome to tonight's presentation with me, your host, Bishop Wayne Malcolm, the Business Bishop, live and direct. I am excited and delighted to be a part of your amazing life and legacy through this ministry, and want to congratulate and celebrate each and every one of you that is coming on board tonight. Well, this would be a great time to notify your families, your friends, and your networks that Bishop Wayne Malcolm is streaming live right now on this platform. And it would also be a good time to just go ahead and like the post. Let's see some thumbs up. Let's see some hearts. And of course, I also want you to utilize the chat box as your virtual voice, so that if we say anything that resonates with you or that is a particular blessing to you, then we want to hear from you. So do utilize the chat box as your virtual voice, and let's just enjoy tonight's conversation. I want you to notice a few things about tonight. Number one, you'll see that the branding is the iGlobal network. And the iGlobal network is an international community of Christian entrepreneurs, professionals, influencers, and creatives. And we have come together to connect, to share, to learn, and to grow. We're very serious about personal development as it relates to professional success. We're very serious about our impact on society and on our generational legacies. So this is a movement for self-improvement that specializes in faith-based success education and we are the premier providers of personal development for people of faith. It's an exciting family to be a part of, um, not just because of the coaching that we experience on a weekly basis, and not just because of the covering, because we are a faith based organization. And so we are praying for each other and praying into each other's careers and into each other's businesses, but also because of the connections and the potential collaborations that come out of being part of a learning network and organization. So, at the end of the presentation, I'll tell you a bit more about how you can get involved with the iGlobal network. But for now, we are going to dive into a fascinating subject. And for me personally, it was the turning point. It was the turning point. So, as I became aware of my need to upgrade my skill set and to close my knowledge gaps, or at least to identify my blind spots, I realized that there were subjects I needed to master. There were things I needed to understand. And when I made a list of all the subjects that would give me an advantage and give me perhaps the ability to overcome some of the adversity I was facing, the list was quite extensive. It was quite extensive. And I thought, wow, I'm going to have to get through a lot of material in a short space of time. And it was around that time that I'd become aware of some speed learning techniques. I became aware of the fact that there were people who were literally reading through an entire book in a day. There were people whose memory, whose capacity to retain and utilize new information was literally at the genius level. And these folks were saying, look, it has nothing to do with, how brilliant we are. It has nothing to do with genius. It has to do with technique. And these folks were saying, look, um, you have been given a very poor set of tools, for learning. And so I began to dive into the subject of speed learning. And I spent some time just reading through the material and listening to the experts and attending seminars and workshops. And this became the turning point for me because um, with this new set of tools and with these techniques, I was able to plow through the subjects that would give me the advantage. And I think in about 1 year, I'd read something like close to 150 books in that year, and had attended scores of seminars, and managed to retain all of the information and utilize the information. And this wasn't due to me being particularly brighter or brilliant. It was simply some new techniques and some tools that I had become aware of. So what I'm going to do tonight is just introduce the subject of speed learning, and of course, the members of our network get to enjoy advanced speed learning techniques and get to enjoy a lot more in-depth unpacking of the subject. We also have some resources and courses that you can do from the comfort of your home if this subject is of interest to you. So please don't hesitate to contact us, and the contact details will be available at the end of the session. So let's pray right now. Father, in the name of your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ, we're so grateful for another opportunity to connect, to share, to learn, and to grow. Lord, we're grateful that you chose us to be a part of this generation, to be a part of this chapter in human history. And we want to maximize our moment in history, and we want to realize our fullest potential. So bless us tonight with some wisdom, some insight, some understanding, and just be glorified as we share in Jesus' precious name. And all the people said, Amen and Amen. So, what we're going to try to get through tonight is why speed learning. Okay. We're going to look at continuous learning. Then we're going to look at your brilliant brain. Yep, your brain is brilliant. No matter what the teacher told you, no matter what qualifications you emerge from school with, your brain is absolutely brilliant. And then we're going to look at some techniques. We'll just kind of skim through some of that because that does require uh, a little bit more in-depth understanding. But we'll introduce the subjects tonight. So let's just start off with this quote. Okay, it's a quote from me, and uh, it's available in our book on speed learning and in our courses. So learning is natural. Okay, learning is natural. Nothing is more natural than learning. By the time a child is 2 years old, it has already developed a wide range of physical, intrapersonal, and interpersonal skills, including the basics of a foreign language, walking, persuasion techniques, and more without ever having attended a formal class. Wow and wow. So think about it. By the time a child is 2 years old, the child has learned the basics of a foreign language. And what language is that? It's your language. Okay, it's a new language, and they have learned the basics. Likewise, they've developed a wide range of skills, including walking, in terms of a physical skill, and they've learned some persuasion techniques, how to persuade you to give them a little more, whether that's food, whether that's something to drink, whether that's some attention. They've learned a very powerful persuasion technique, and they've learned it all without ever having attended a formal class. And what this tells you is that learning is natural, that we instinctively learn, literally from the womb, from birth, we are instinctively learning. It's like it is the innate appetite of your brain and of your essence to learn. And so we learn very, very quickly. And all of this is learned, you know, before attending any formal class. So that's to tell you something about how absolutely natural learning is. Now I want to talk about why speed learning is so very important. Why it's important for you to develop some speed learning techniques. Uh, and it is this. Number one, we are now inside the information age. We are, in fact, in the information and high speed communications age. So that unlike any generation before us, every one of us has access to a plethora, a pool, a world of information, a deluge of information. More information is available to us at any given time um, than has ever been available to anyone throughout the entire period of human history. In fact, each of you has access to the largest library in the history of the world, and it's on your phone right now. You can simply go online and you can access information that in years gone by it would have absolutely taken years to acquire. So we are exposed to more information than at any point in history. Number two, top right, the certainty of change. So new technology means that methods and markets are changing with speed. So that whatever you learned at school about a particular industry, by the time you graduate, all of those rules would have changed, all of the techniques will have changed, the technology will have changed, the demand in the market will have changed. And so, because things are constantly changing, you can't relegate learning to your school years. You have to realize that to win in life, you have to be constantly learning, constantly upgrading your skill set, constantly learning new things because of the certainty of change. Bottom left, falling behind. Knowledge doubles in every field once every 2 to 3 years. So, what this means is that whatever we know about medicine right now, whatever we know about medicine, in the next 2 to 3 years, there'll be twice as much new information as there is current information. And this is true about virtually every field because of the speed with which we are now able to communicate, and because of the availability of knowledge through the internet, then knowledge is doubling in every field, approximately every 2 to 3 years. And this means that if your own knowledge is not doubling every 2 to 3 years, then you are falling behind. That's why we have to discard some of the antiquated tools and techniques for learning that we were given at school, and we have to embrace and explore some new tools and techniques that enable us to keep ahead of the curve. And then finally, we've got here speed currency. Speed currency. Yep, speed is now a form of currency. Speed is value. So, speed is a form of currency in the modern world. It adds value in the new technological environment. And I guess we sometimes think of speed as convenience. And when you think of speed as convenience, then you can already begin to identify some market trends as follows. The company that can get the goods to you or the service to you in the shortest possible time is the company that you're most likely to spend with. So we typically think of that as convenience. So that if you were going to one online merchant and they said, "Yep, you can expect delivery in 4 to 6 weeks," you would look for another online merchant who could say, well, you can expect delivery within 4 to 5 days, right? So you can say, well, I'm going with the 4 to 5 days, people. And then if just before you checked out, you found someone who could get it to you the next day or the same day, then that's who you're going with. So speed is now a form of currency, and this is why it's important that we are able to learn new things fast, right? It's important that we're able to learn new things fast. And I want to say something about continuous learning, lifelong learning. I consider myself to be a learning addict, all right, because my two great passions in life are learning and teaching. So I love to learn, and then I love to teach. And for me, teaching is a form of learning, which, if you do our course on all of this, you will understand that real learning occurs on the exhale. We learn not as we take in new information, but as we put it out. And so my two great passions in life are learning and teaching, and I consider myself a lifelong learner and a learning addict. And so I want us to look at this because the old formula, the old formula split your life into three parts, right? The formula that was delivered to us at school, splits your life into three parts. There are, first of all, the learning years, right? The learning years, and those are your school years. And so that may go up until your teens, and if you're in higher education, that will go up into your 20s. But these are considered the learning years. And then the next section is called the earning years. The earning years, and this is where you are now working for a living. So you get out of school, you find a job, and you go to work, and you are typically going to work for the next 40 years of your life, and these are called your earning years. And then you retire, apparently with the golden carriage clock, or a farewell party, a little bit more pay in your package, and then you have to live off of your pension or whatever savings or investments you'd accumulated during your earning years, and these now become your yearning years, where you realize that the whole formula was a lie, and that actually you wish you could do the whole thing all over again and you would do it differently. So these are the three sections into which the old formula divides your life: learning years, earning years, and then the yearning years. Well, as lifelong continuous learners, we don't think of it that way at all. We think of it as follows: that for the first part of your life, you are simply learning to learn. Woo, you're learning to learn. So the real purpose of school is learning how to learn, is learning the value of learning and learning techniques for learning. Because in practice and in reality, you are not really going to use any of the information that you learned at school. You're not going to use that information to earn a living. There are very few jobs that are going to require you to utilize something you learned at school. There are very few businesses that will require you to utilize anything you learned at school. And so the real purpose of your schooling years is learning to learn. When you leave school, you enter the full time business of learning, because now you're going to learn how to live. So you leave school having learned to learn. You then move into the next stage of learning, which is learning to live. So now you're going to learn how to create a livelihood, a lifestyle. You are going to learn how to create opportunities, your networks. You enter into the world of learning social skills, intrapersonal skills, interpersonal skills. Now is the time for you to learn the arts of persuasion, negotiation, sales. Now is the time for you to learn exactly how you can add the most value to the most people with your gifts, your talents, your capacities, your abilities. So these are the years that you are learning to live. And then finally, your latter years are about learning to last. And this has to do with legacy now, how you can build platforms upon which future generations can stand tall. This is about learning some more survival strategies, and some sustainability and generational issues become extremely important to you. So you're now learning to last. And of course, the more you learn, the more you earn. So, how many of you are ready to become a continuous, lifelong learner, just based on that? Because the old formula is a lie, and it is a formula that is guaranteed to fail you. The idea that you learn at school and then you go into earning simply ends up with great disappointment and frustration. You end up in the yearning years. Whereas if you follow this formula, which is learning to learn at school, then learning to live through life, and then learning to last so that you'll have a legacy and sustainability, then you are learning for life. And your brain is uniquely designed to do this. Okay, so some people say, well, I'm old now, I'm not, learning's not my thing. And then there are others who are spending their latter years literally consuming books and consuming information. So which is true? Well, what is true is that from the moment you are born, you are instinctively learning, as we saw in the opening slide, and until the moment you die, you will be instinctively learning, because your brain is built for a life of learning. And so let's just talk briefly about the brain. Your brilliant brain, your brilliant brain. Yep, your brain is brilliant. I want you to write in the chat box, my brain is brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant, no matter what the school said, your teacher said, no matter what your employer said, your brain is brilliant. Okay? So here's a mouthful. I'll just read it fast. Your brain, the size of two fists and weighing about 3 pounds, is made up of approximately 1 trillion cells. 100 billion of them are active cells called neurons, and a further 900 million serve to glue, nourish, and insulate those cells. Each neuron is shaped like an octopus with a nucleus and legs or tentacles surrounding it called dendrites. Each neuron may sprout between 2,000 and 20,000 dendrites that act as connectors and conductors of electrochemical charges and waves like a telephone exchange communicating between the cells. This means that there are trillions of connections in your brain conducting waves of electrochemical messages and signals. Woo! Your brain is brilliant. So, right here, um, on the right side, you see an active brain cell or a neuron. And what you can see is that neuron in the center is sprouting these legs or tentacles that are dendrites. And these dendrites, they act as communicators or connectors and conductors of electrochemical waves, and these are all of these messages that are interacting through these connectors and conductors, and so that there are trillions of connections in your brain. And why is this important? Well, it's important because of the next slide. So that when you look at a brain, when you look at the brain, okay, so if we were to remove the skull and look at a brain, you would notice that there are two very distinct hemispheres. There's a left hemisphere of the brain and a right hemisphere of the brain. Okay, and this is important because when studying the brain, they are able to put these these probes on your brain and actually study the waves and the movements, the electrochemical activity in your brain while you are carrying out specific tasks. And this, of course, is a great breakthrough in technology. But here's what they found that whenever your task was more academic in nature or more logical in nature or involved sequences or numbers, that it was the left hemisphere of the brain where all of the electrochemical activity and communications were happening. And then, whenever it was something that was creative, if the task was creative or involved imagination or it involved rhythm or colors or spatial awareness and dimensions, they would notice that all the activity was happening on the right side of the brain. And this developed the theory of the left and right brain. Okay, the left brain being the academic brain and the right brain being the creative brain. In this illustration, you see the left is called analysis and the right is called creative. So that the left brain, the left hemisphere of your brain, is responsible for logic and language and sequence and numbers, all of the academic stuff. And the right side is responsible for rhythm and colors and imagination and creativity. Okay, so all of the creative stuff. And of course, in school, what does the old school system celebrate? Fundamentally, it celebrates academic intelligence, which is leaving one whole side of your brain unutilized because you get rewarded for how good you are academically. And if you're not good academically, then they kind of put you into something creative, feeling sorry for you and downgrading your prospects in life. Whereas God, who is the creator and the genius behind our biology, has put these two hemispheres in the brain for a very, very important reason. So let's look at the master key. The master key to speed learning, the master key is to engage both hemispheres of the brain while you are learning. Wow. How does that work, Bishop? Well, let's just look at it here. Um, Academic celebration. The school system celebrates academic achievement. This focuses on the left brain and ignores the right. However, jump over to the second column. learning the alphabet. Studies show that we learn best when employing both hemispheres of the brain. For example, how did you learn the alphabet? Typically, a song. So what you have, the alphabet is really a list of letters, okay, which the left brain would try to grasp, okay? But a song or rhythm is a right brain activity. So when you put the two together, instead of trying to get a child to learn it like this, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, instead of doing that, you now say to the child, okay, let's learn this song. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And you find the child is able to learn the list because it's now linked with a song. Now, some people who say to me, I have a bad memory, I can't remember anything, they can remember songs, the words of songs, the lyrics from their childhood. I mean, there are the lyrics of certain songs have never left you. I've had church people tell me that I've got a poor memory, and yet they can remember the words of many Christian anthems, hymns, choruses. Why? Because in the process of learning, both the left and the right hemispheres of the brain were working together. So this really means that if you really want to learn things that seem to be academic, then you need to merge the things with color, with rhythm, with imagination, with the creative faculties of the right hemisphere of your brain, and it will become easier to learn. So for example, if you look at a sheet of data, a sheet of paper that has data on it and everything's written in black and white, how much easier would it be to get your mind around it if certain things were highlighted in colors? Wow. Yep. You can see what's highlighted in red, what's highlighted in green, what's highlighted in blue. And because of the colors, which is a right brain speciality, and the words, which are the left brain speciality, actually you're able to grasp it so much better. Let's look at the final piece here. Find your learning style. We each possess a learning style that makes learning fun and effective. Finding it and using it is the key to speed learning. Wow and wow. Well, look, we are virtually out of time, so let me just brush through some of the things that you will learn with us when you become a part of the iGlobal network, some of the things you'll be exposed to in this particular discipline of speed learning. We look at a speed reading techniques, a speed reading technique, and a number of speed reading techniques. And we will also look at something called mind mapping. The author of the mind map is a gentleman called Tony Buzan. Fascinating gentleman, amazing breakthroughs in this field of learning. And he's the author of the mind map. And this little technique actually allows you to summarize and effectively memorize a lot of content. Actually, you can summarize the entire Bible on one piece of paper utilizing a mind map. You can take notes in a seminar that you will never forget simply by utilizing a mind map instead of writing linear notes to record from a seminar or a speech or a lecture. What we've discovered is that if you switch to mind mapping, which is drawing your results in a particular way, then actually your retention of the information is literally amplified and accelerated, and your ability to utilize the information and recall almost everything that you heard. It's pretty amazing. And then we look at boosting your memory. Okay, so um, you would be shocked at how amazing your capacity to remember is if you employ a different technique. And in a nutshell, let me just read this first point here, top left. You will remember anything you attach to something you cannot forget. Remember that. That's a major key to understanding how to boost your memory. You will remember anything that you attach to something you cannot forget. And so this has been absolutely amazing working with you today. And it's just been a window, little glimpse. We sort of crack the curtain and let you see what a learning community looks like, and what we discuss, and what we learn, and how we grow. So we are the iGlobal network, the iGlobal network. We are premier providers of personal development for people of faith. We specialize in faith-based success education. We are a network and an international community of Christian entrepreneurs, professionals, influencers, and creatives. We are serious about our ministry in the marketplace, our careers as callings, and we are connecting, we are sharing, we are learning, we are growing, we are covering each other as a huge circle of accountability. We are moving forward and making progress. So if you'd like to know more, then call our office. The office number is right here. Call the office and ask for a call back. Say, I'm interested in joining the network. I'd like to find out more about it. And so, or you can go to our website at iglobalnetwork.org. That's .org, iglobalnetwork.org. And you can get some more information about us, but we like talking to people. It's good to talk. So do give us a call and we'll talk you through it. And if it's the right thing for you, then it's the right thing for you. All right, we love you and God bless you ever so much. I'm going to leave this information on the screen for a little while before we close out. God bless you and shalom.
Whenever you're setting goals for your life, set them in 3 categories, and here are the 3 categories. What goals? Why goals? How goals? What? Why? How goals? Number 1 are your what goals. And your what goals describe what you are trying to achieve. What in this category are your career goals and your financial goals. What your career and your personal finances have everything to do with what you are trying to achieve. What, why, how. In the next category are your why goals. And your why goals are the reasons why you are seeking to be successful with your career and successful with your personal finances. Why? And these have to do with your family, your relationships, and your time freedom. Why? Because the reason you start in business, most people go into business for this reason. They want financial freedom and time freedom. For what? Why do you want more time? It is for sharing it with the people you love the most. And so you need goals that have to do with the whys of your life. What? Why? How? And then you need some how goals. These goals have to do with how you're going to achieve your what and why goals, and they have to do with your personal development, your growth, your acquisition of new knowledge and new skills. What? Why? How? You need goals